The game's over.
Welcome into Triple Zeros, the anti-hot take sports show. I am your host, Josh Buckhalter. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at JoshGBuck. Hit up the Facebook page, Clocker Sports. The website is clockersports.com, and the email address is contact@clockersports.com. And man, do we have a show for you today. Oh, you can also follow the show on Facebook and Twitter at 30spod. That's the number 3 zeros in pod. Like, share, rate, review, all those things, man. A big day. That's why I almost forgot my whole intro there. We got a lot to talk about, man, and this is going to be a very Chicago Bears-centric episode. I will try to touch on a few other news and notes around the NFL and try to get to some NBA stuff, too, but there is a lot to dive into with the Chicago Bears today. I guess most notably Justin Fields, but that's not the beginning and the end of it all, and I think that's probably where we'll start before we get into the Justin Fields. So let's talk about some of the other news that happened with the Bears today. So, head coach Matt Eberflus met with the media and announced that left tackle Braxton Jones will be placed on IR. That means he'll miss the next 4 weeks. Won't be back until I think that means week 8. So the Bears are now down their starting left tackle, their starting left guard. Their starting right guard has only played sparingly since signing this offseason. Their starting right tackle is a rookie, and their center was not, who played in week 2, Lucas Patrick, was not at practice today with an illness. So if you caught all that, then you are caught up on the offensive side. The defense is still missing cornerback Kyler Gordon, who went on injured reserve this week, or last week rather, and Eddie Jackson was also banged up. So there's a lot of health-related stuff going on, and that extends beyond the roster. Apparently, defensive coordinator Alan Williams has sent in his letter of resignation to the Bears, stepping away for health and family concerns. Now, I want to pause right then and there and just say whatever it is for Alan Williams, I hope that everything works out. He did say in his statement that he plans on returning to coaching while thanking the McCaskey family and the Bears organization for giving him the chance. But in the time between hearing Matt Eberflus say that he was not sure when Williams would return or if Williams would return at all, wouldn't even say that he was still the defensive coordinator, in between Williams' statement, his statement of resignation, the rumors that spread were just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. From Hallis Hall raids to Williams' home being raided, from tales of domestic abuse, beating his wife, right? Like, we're getting out of hand here to sensitive child materials. Like we'll say, I don't even know what the rules are about the podcast. I don't want my podcast to get shut down for saying something reckless. But the speculation was rampant. It was widespread. And it was from some outlets that I felt like maybe not credential reporters, but I thought had tried to stick to their, fact-based reporting. Apparently, a lot of people are comfortable running with speculation, and I'm sure a lot of it has to do with not having to be in that building and see those people face-to-face. I will tell you this, there was no reporter who was connected to the building, who was in the building, who knew anything about a raid or anything like that. I will try to get some confirmation on that when I go back, but I'm just saying, like, that was such a wild twist and turn for something that had not been even close to that. It just escalated really quickly. Now, I will say that the report coming out from Williams, or the statement coming out from Williams, the reported statement coming out from his attorney, from Ian Rappaport of NFL.com, there was no raid, all those things. It's just, I guess I should interject with this as well. If you're going to do it, if this was what it was, the best way to have it be put away and swept back under the rug would have his attorney come out, would have the big prominent NFL figure come out and say that it's not true, deny the involvement of a Peanut Tillman. But if I'm running a PSYOP type of deal and trying to infiltrate, I think Peanut Tillman would have been a great agent. I will just say that, I say all that to say this. We have to stop running with stories and perpetuating these things without proof. I saw one that was put out that said that the thing, it was just extremely vague, and saying that if it was true, then X, Y, and Z. However, there was no statement of what it was, no statement of along what line. So I want everybody to pause before you start tweeting out stuff and sending out stuff in the future, and just wait. Like, the man says he's having health and family issues. Who are we to say that that's not the case? And I've got even people who have pushed back when I've tried to tell them, like, no, that's not what happened. No, that's the report that I read. This is the problem with misinformation. Once it gets out first, there are some people who refuse to ever believe anything else. And so I just ask that my fellow people who are reporting on these things be a little bit more responsible. That leads me into our conversation about Justin Fields. And Fields today spoke ahead of Matt Eberflus during the presser before practice today. And some of the things that Fields said made its way around the internet. Most notably, him saying coaching as part of the reason why he felt like he's been hesitating this far into the season. However, that quote was severely cut down to only highlight the fact that he said coaching, did not say that it said could be coaching, right? Could be coaching, but then it also left out that he went on to explain that it's on him to kind of make it right and to speed up his internal clock. He was asked about the sack fumble on Sunday and said that exactly something like that. I have to break the pot. So he said it's coaching in terms of what he's learned, but he didn't mean coaching as in the coaches. He meant he's trying to, because he went on to say, I'm a perfectionist and I got to just get back to playing my game. And I'm going to put the quote right here, the bulk of the quote right here. I wrote about it for clockersports.com. Be sure to visit clockersports.com. And I just want you to hear the full part of what he said after he said it could be coaching. He said he felt like he was robotic and played like himself before that. Excuse me. This is what he led off with, saying that he felt robotic and not like himself. And he said my goal this week is to just say F it and just go out there and play football how I know how to play football. That includes thinking less and just going out there and playing off instincts rather than so much, so to say, info in my head, data in my head, and literally going out there and playing football. Now, if you want to take that to be a direct shot at the coaches for saying that he overloaded them with information, or they overloaded him with information rather, fine. But I took that as they've given me a lot of information, and I'm trying to cycle through all of it right now, and it's not working. And so I took that more of as, yeah, they need to give me less information, but the base of it that he said, again, in his own words, I need to. So then that led to, widespread reports of, oh my goodness, Fields is throwing his coaches under the bus and saying that the coaching is the reason why he's struggling. And oh my gosh, Justin Fields. So with that, Fields decided to get the media together in the locker room after practice and kind of clarify his statements. And I want to tell you what I feel about the clarification and what I feel like was, again, I just told you what I feel like he said, but I will reiterate after we hear his clarification in the locker room after practice on Wednesday.
Yeah, so I just want to clear something up. The press conference earlier, I forgot who asked the question, but I kind of knew that's what they were trying to get out of me. But I said, I think I saw a quote Aaron showed me something on Twitter. I don't have Twitter because I don't need it, but it could be coaches. I love you guys, but I get that you guys' jobs are to get clicks, so it's like, when you take my quote out of context and we can just say that, if you take the picture on the inside out, like, y'all are trying to split us up. I'm not blaming anything on the coach. I'm never going to blame anything on the coaches, never going to blame anything on my team. I will take whatever happens in the game, I will take all the blame. I don't care. The drop pass, it should have been a pass. Put it on me. But never hear anything come out of my mouth to where I will blame it on somebody else. In this organization, my teammates will never lose it. So I just want to clear that up and just know that, I need to play better. That's it. Point blank. If y'all, that's what I should have said in the first place. But I was trying to give y'all more details because I appreciate y'all for doing what y'all do, and I try to give y'all the information y'all want for you guys' job. So I'm gonna do that in the future. But I ask you guys just to put the whole quote up. Don't cut it up into words and pieces to make it seem like I'm saying something that I'm not. So again, appreciate you guys what you do, and y'all thanks guys.
And so, as you heard him say, he should have just said, I need to play better. I will be the first, well, maybe not the first, but I will be here to tell you. He said that. He literally said that in the first place. And when I heard the quote, I think I tweeted out, I can't remember if I tweeted out on my own account, Josh Buck, or on the Clocker Sports account, but I did tweet out him saying that it could be coaching. And I put out could be coaching because I heard the could be part, and it caught my ear. But then his explanation that after that also caught my attention. So, again, man, it's the same thing as with the running with stories that we don't have full confirmation on. It's the same principle here. You gotta be careful when you're sending stuff out. And this part was a little bit worse because this came from some reputable outlets too. That, like he said, to get some interest, cut it up into just saying coaching. And I saw it go out in Twitter form, or tweet form, post form, or whatever you want to call it now, because it's X, whatever. But I also saw it go out in articles, and that's when I was like, oh no, this is gonna end up bad because I'm pretty sure that that's not what he was trying to say. again, doesn't matter. Once it's out there, maybe it's Pat McAfee I'm hearing. Like, it's just been crazy. So I tweeted out, again, follow me, Josh E. Buck, follow clockersports.com, follow 30spod, follow at 30spod while Twitter's still free. I tweeted that out, that he said could be, and explained that he's got to hurry up. I was kind of surprised at how many people decided not to go with the rest of it. Maybe they explained it further, but to lead with just that word, I just felt like was immediately misleading. I just knew it was going to be a problem, and I wish I tweeted out because I saw people running with it. I just let it go, and then he ended up calling us in there in the meantime. So he cleared up himself, but he didn't say anything different than what he said. He just explained to y'all what he was meaning. I heard him say he's got to be better. I heard him go on to say that he's got to speed up his internal clock. Do you want to say that he threw him under the bus? You can say it, I guess, but I took it more after hearing the entire thing, more of this isn't what I'm like. I likened it to his week 7. I believe it was week 7. That might be a little bit too far into the season of last year, though. After the Washington Commanders game, when it was like a 12-7 game or something like that, they could not score, but they were down in the red zone multiple times. I remember asking him, "How does this feel when how do you keep guys motivated in the locker room when this keeps happening to you?" Because they were losing then, and he broke off on a tangent and explained how he was tired of being close. I feel like this was a similar type of deal where he kind of gets to a point where he's, screw it, I'm just going to say what I got to say. And then things happen. We'll see how the changes come, because the Bears went on a tear offensively after that, if you guys remember. We'll see what happens now and if this has gone about. But I didn't think of it as bussing as much as it's not going the way I need it to go. And maybe they weren't receptive, because Eberflus said they had no idea that he was feeling that way, which is a bit interesting to me. I thought that was odd. How can you guys, because I've asked these questions, I've asked Ryan Poles about conversations with Justin Fields. I've asked Eberflus about talking to Justin Fields, and they've been asked by other people and have said he knows what's expected of him, Ryan Poles. You know what I mean? Like, Eberflus after week 1 said that it wasn't on the scheme to get the passing game right. It basically putting the onus back on Fields. But now we have him saying that he feels like he's being, and if you follow me, again, follow me on Twitter, Josh E. Buck. If you follow me all summer during training camp, you will know that I've been saying I couldn't give great reports on him or the offense because they weren't doing much. A, he wasn't running, which seemed like a good sign. But then B, he wasn't running. So now he's not running, and you can point back to that and just feel like maybe that's where things went awry, right? Without giving too much into what happened during training camp, it was open. Not finishing plays at that point, letting things continue. Just wonder if those were the times where those things could have been built up, where they could have, sorted through some of these rough spots. Eberflus today, I asked him directly, are these issues that could have been worked out during training camp during preseason? And he said, we're focused on the now. That's the lead into my article on Clocker Sports. Be sure to check that out, clockersports.com. Where I feel like he kind of avoided saying that. Maybe that's a yes, maybe that's a no, but it wouldn't have hurt for them to get more reps. Fields, I think, played 20 snaps the entire preseason. So I just feel like these are things that they would have figured out had they played more in the preseason. They would have figured out, oh, he's having trouble getting to that third read in his progression. Oh, he doesn't like this play at all. He doesn't see the progression properly in this play at all. Oh, he's missing these aspects. And that's the other thing about it. Some of the stuff that they did last year to get him going just has not been present this year. And so you can say that he threw his coaches under the bus and he should be better than that. That's cool. Doesn't mean that he's not right. Maybe he should have taken it in-house. Doesn't mean he's not right. And we don't know that he didn't take it in-house. Now, I will say this. Both Fields and Eberflus characterized their meeting, because Fields said he did tell his coaches this. Both sides characterized their meeting as good. But I'm not sure how good. And so you just wonder if there is, I don't want to say lingering animosity there, but it's an unresolved issue. Again, we'll see what happens this week against Kansas City Chiefs. They are on the road in Arrowhead, so good luck with that. No Braxton Jones, no Tevin Jenkins, no Allen Williams. Eberflus said he will call the plays again, so we'll see how that works out. I just know, like I said, I took it more like his post-Commanders loss speech and saw him just trying to, kind of speak his piece. And I think we got the clear glimpse of him the first time. I think the second time was him kind of not walking it back, but clarifying at the behest of maybe management, because it did sound like he was a bit throwing them under the bus if all you heard was the quote, coaching was the issue. So I understood that. But I don't think that he was walking anything back. I don't think that he was double talking. I don't think that he was throwing him under the bus in the first place. And that's where I think we have to start off to get this properly, sorted all through and everything, and what this means for him. Now, going forward, I think we are now at a point where everybody's on the hot seat. If Fields doesn't perform up to the expectation after they presumably tailor the offense to better suit his playing style, guess what? If Luke Getsy, offensive coordinator Luke Getsy, cannot figure out a way to maximize the quarterback, Justin Fields, and it looks like that's where the disjointedness is, guess what? And ultimately, we're already down defensive coordinator. The defense has not been good in the 2 years that he's been here. Matt Eberflus could be on the hot seat at some point here if things don't turn around quickly. So it's a lot of moving parts still. There's still a lot of unsettledness, a lot of uncertainty going on around here. But I will say this: there was no raid at Hallis Hall. Justin Fields did not, in my opinion, bust his coaches as much as kind of send them a message like he did the last time. Because you could have said the last thing was last year was him throwing him under the bus. I felt like it was him kind of publicly pleading because maybe his pleas are not being, I don't want to say heard, but maybe they're not interpreting it the way that he means it. So he says it flat out this way in the media, knows it'll run, whatever. But I don't think he was trying to bust his coaches. That to me seems way out of character for him, for a leader that he has been and is said to be. So that part to me I think is funny. But it is what it is, man. Social media, people are gonna run with their narratives, and like I said, the initial one is usually the one that grabs the strongest. So, yeah, it's one of those things. It's just one of those things. Like I said, he told everybody, blame it on me, and I heard him say it the first time, so I wasn't really surprised by anything that he had to say in the locker room. So, it's a very tumultuous time for this team right now. They are in a situation where they're trying to find their way. You thought they'd find their way at the end of last year, but apparently the tweaks that they were trying to make just have not worked. And so again, as we climb that ladder of culpability, Ryan Poles is up there too, right? The only person I think who would be absolved would be Kevin Warren, because he came in after everybody else to head up the stadium in Arlington Park, which is having its own set of I don't want to say issues, but changes every other day, every other week, right? So this organization is in flux right now. There was a report last week about there being a sense of unsettledness in the building. And I did not get that sense then. And I will tell you that for sure, because talking to players, everybody sounded like it was business as usual. That sense was there today. The quiet, the absence of bodies in the locker room after practice. Maybe it's because they were on a different field today, whatever the case may be. But you could feel it today because every answer seemed so impactful. Seemed like it had not double meaning, but there's more here than just the words. This is not just a message to the media. This is a message to coaching staff. This is a message to players, whatever the case may be. One more quick note. Fields noted in his presser, the initial presser, that they have these conversations and he doesn't take it personal when they tell him that he needs to play better. He knows he needs to play better. Like, it's just so weird that that's the part that ran and nobody else picked up on the rest of what he said. And to the point where he felt like he had to address it. We got to be better, man. We got to do better. I feel like that was extremely irresponsible, and it probably shouldn't have gone the way it did, but it did. And I kind of am glad that he said something both to the coaches about the offense and about the message, the way his message was relayed to others. So yeah, it's a busy day at Hallis, but they return to practice on Thursday to continue their preparations for Week 3 against the Kansas City Chiefs. But nothing is as it was just a couple of weeks ago. It was all good just a week ago. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. They were confident. Came into Week 1, and things have gone off the rails ever since. So, elsewhere around the NFL, Saquon Barkley will be missing this week. Matt Breida set to start in his place. You also have Kareem Hunt returning to the Cleveland Browns after Nick Chubb's unfortunate knee injury. Those are just a gruesome thing to have to see. We also had a trade today. The Minnesota Vikings acquired running back Cam Akers from the Los Angeles Rams for late-round draft choices. The Rams had moved on to Kyron Williams, and the Minnesota Vikings, I believe, had the fewest rushing yards in the league, like 30. It's bad. It's bad. They're not running the ball very well at all. So, quick trade there, and then we're just prepping for Week 3. We're just preparing for Week 3, man. Chiefs news: Tyreek Hill did call out or put Mike Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys and his former teammate Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs on notice, saying that when they play each other, he's going to get to the edge and secure a block like he did this past week against the New England Patriots. We'll see how that goes. Tyreek Hill's not a big guy, and those are two big, violent guys. We'll see what happens if he has to actually make that block, and if he makes that block. Because if he does, man, he's not going to stop talking about it. I could already see that happening. Anything else? Any other big shocking stories that I could that think the Bears thing kind of took me back. I was gonna record anyway, and like I said, I'd plan on dropping this podcast. Normally, will come out Tuesday mornings, but I had some scheduling conflicts, so I was gonna do it today anyway. But man, that was fortunate because this is something that needs to come out and be talked about right now. The Bears stuff. This is insane from the outside, insane from the inside, and I just hope that there's a quick resolution and they can get this season back on track. I, for one, am still a believer in Justin Fields' skill level. There are a lot of moving parts going on right now, like I said earlier, that have me in some doubt of that they can fix it, they can get it turned around. But I'm not in there putting in all the preparation, and all I can do is see what the results are for the work that they say that they are putting in. And to that end, they are still trying to dot their I's across their T's, and I feel like the Fields' message to the media was one of those things where he knew he had to get that back under control because it had already gotten out of control. We'll see if it matters. I don't think it will. Like I said, I'm still arguing people right now about the how is the Hall to not get rated. So we'll see what happens there. But it's just, this was one of the wilder days that I can remember, and I haven't been covering it that long, right? But the veterans on the beat, you could see it in their faces and how they were kind of taken aback by all the events that occurred today. Braxton Jones was in the locker room. He didn't seem to be too down and out of it, but he's on injured reserve, so Bears will try to make do. Larry Borum was mentioned as a potential replacement. Ja'Tyre Carter as well, but Carter is a guard, so that's an interesting kind of dynamic there. I didn't get a chance to speak with him today about it. I will try to get that on Thursday. Who else did he mention? He also mentioned that Darnell Wright could be an option, but he said that they like to try to keep guys where they are. And that's something that actually offensive coordinator Luke Getsy told me during the preseason when I asked about putting some more experience next to Wright when Nate Davis was out. So if they get Nate Davis back, then they get it's less of a blow, especially if Lucas Patrick can play and they can line him up at center and keep Cody Whitehair at guard. Larry Borum, if you remember, he was not brought in to be, but they tried him at left tackle last year. So if they can get a couple of games out of it's going to be 4 weeks. It's minimum 4 weeks. They got to get 4 weeks out of Larry Borum of solid, competent tackle play. Jones has been struggling this year, so it's not like there's a severe fall off. But if you remember, he was last year their most consistent lineman, their most available lineman, no doubt, going every game, all 17 games last season. Jones did. So a big loss, even if he was not playing his best football to this point in the season. So just a lot to watch out for, man. Like I said, in week 3, it could get real dicey with Mahomes, who loves to stick it to the Bears for passing on him in 2017 in the draft. Last time he was counting on his fingers. It could be a lot of counting going on Sunday. That's all I'm gonna say. And they're at home too, and they got off to a bit of a slow start, and now guys are getting back in the mix. So I can see them trying to make that point that they are back against a lowly team. Bears dealing with all that they are dealing with. So that's just what it is, man. It's a rough. I don't want to say rough, but it's an interesting time up at Hallis Hall right now on a season that started with so much promise. The year started with so much promise. They were so confident, and now we're shuffling out defensive coordinators. We got people accusing the quarterback of bussing the coordinators. The coordinators are we'll see what Luke Getsy he's scheduled to talk to the media on Thursday. So was Alan Williams. So I don't know what they're going to fill that spot with now, but we'll see what Luke Getsy has to say about Fields' comments and overcoaching. Because I don't think it was as much of a criticism as he was saying that he's got to kind of tune some of it out. They got to give him all the information. If they didn't, we would call it a dereliction of duty. So I understand them trying to give him all that they can. This might have been his saying, okay, I can't handle that much just yet. And so I think that's where we are with Fields in the conversation. Like I said, I liken it to his post game after the Washington Commanders loss in 2022. So we'll see what comes of it, man. Just stay tuned, stay here. Like I said, Clocker Sports, clockersports.com, at Clocker Sports on X, at Clocker Sports on Instagram, at Clocker Sports on all of it. Every social media site, on YouTube, find us there. I'm a little bit stuck because how drastically things have changed in 3 weeks. Like I said, they were doing the whole why not us thing going to the Packers game. They were talking big stuff during the preseason, and here we are. So there's no denying it anymore. Switching gears a little bit. There is a brief report that the Chicago Bulls have kicked the tires or tried to get back into the bidding for Damian Lillard, point guard Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail Blazers. Lillard is said to have his sights set on Miami, but Miami and Portland are presumed to not have had any talks recently, leaving the door open for other teams. As it is said, Portland has had increased conversations in the past few days and weeks. So if the Bulls do, I'm going to have a story about that coming up on Heavy on Bulls shortly. So be on the lookout for that. If it's not already up by the time this airs, it'll probably be up by the time this airs. So, yeah, it's just a lot going on, man. And then the Atlanta Hawks, they are gearing up for a big season. Trae Young sent out a message. Go and check that out, StoringDownSouth.com. Trae Young sent out a prediction for his assist total for next year. A little rough prediction. It wasn't like some I'm going to. It was more like a how about type of deal. But go ahead, check that out on Soaring Down South. And that's gonna do it for this episode of Triple Zeros, man. You know what it is. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter, Clocker Sports. Make sure that you are hitting us up if you need to reach out for anything. Contact at clockersports.com. Follow the show on Facebook and Twitter at 30spod.com. That's the number 30spod. That's the number 30 and pod on all social media platforms. Follow me, Josh E. Buck, on all social media platforms. Be sure to read the stuff. Heavy on Bulls, heavy on Lakers. Last word on pro football. Last word on sports. They changed the name. That name change is always going to get me. Soaring Down South, and of course you can get everything aggregated for you at clockersports.com. But until the very next time,